Happy Thursday, everyone! With Easter right around the corner, I thought it would be fun to paint something exceptionally easy in celebration of the upcoming holiday. And actually, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I have to give credit to my husband who thought of this egg-citing painting idea. But I think you're going to love it. In fact, okay, I'm sorry, I have to do one more egg pun. I think this is exactly the type of Easter painting you're looking for. But the best part about these fun little Easter eggs is not only that they're pretty, but they are also super simple and only take minutes to do. These are perfect for beginner painters or people just short on time. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. So to start out, I'm choosing to do these in more of a card size. So I've just taken a larger sheet of watercolor paper and cut it down into fourths. But of course, you can do this on a larger page with all three of them together if you'd rather, or as another option if you want to save some time on measuring and cutting, they do make little watercolor pads that are made in smaller sizes already that you can just tear the paper straight out of and get right to painting if that's easier. So just whatever works best for you. Now, besides watercolor paper, we do need watercolor paints, some clean water, a paper towel, and some brushes. I'm going to pull out all of the brushes in my craftamo brush set today. There's a good chance we'll be able to use most of them, if not all of them. I have here a number 10 round, a number 6 round, a 1/4 inch angle brush, a number 3 round, and a number 1 rigger. Now, if you happen to be new to my channel, I actually did just release a second batch of these limited time brushes a few weeks ago, and they are just about sold out. But if you're interested, I'll leave a link for these brushes as well as information and links to any of the other products you see me using today in the description of this video. Okay, now because I want to paint several of these pretty little eggs so that I can try out a few different designs, I've just made an egg-shaped template that I can trace as many times as I want to make the process a little bit easier and quicker overall. All I've done here is taken a piece of paper, traced the bottom of a cup for a perfect circle shape. Then I drew a bit of a soft peak on the top of the circle to create the shape of an egg. Then before I cut it out, to make sure I got an evenly shaped egg, I folded the paper in half and cut out the general sketch of the egg outline. And here I ended up with a perfect little egg template. So now all I need to do is trace this onto my paper for as many eggs as I want to paint. And I should point out you can also do this in whatever size that you'd like as well, or different sizes too. And even though I'm going to give you a few ideas of how you can decorate or paint your eggs, these are just ideas to get your creativity flowing, but you can try any design that you want to try. All right, now this is an optional step, but I do highly recommend using a bit of masking fluid to mask off the outside edge of each of the eggs. Along with my masking fluid, I have an old brush here to use with the fluid so I don't risk gunking up one of my nicer, more expensive brushes. But I do like to put a little bit of liquid soap in the bristles, and that usually does help clean out that masking fluid pretty good when you're done with it. Now, like I say, if you don't have masking fluid or don't want to do this part, you can just paint carefully within the lines, but I find that the fluid actually saves me time in the long run, since once as I get to painting, it just makes the process quicker and not as tedious. Now that I've got my fluid applied to all three of my eggs that I plan to paint, I'm going to rinse out my brush really quick so that it doesn't gum up the bristles. And then you are going to need to let this fluid dry completely. But once as they are dry, you can get to painting. Now, because the eggs are white and the paper is white, I actually want to paint just a touch of background color on the egg to not only make it look a little bit more realistic, but also to help it stand out from the white paper. I'll just mix up a light wash of ultramarine blue with maybe just a touch of Payne's gray, and this does need to be very light in value, so add a little bit of extra water in the mix too. I'll be painting this color wet on wet, so either using that number 10 round or even the angle brush, I'll take a touch of clean water and paint it over the entire area of the egg. Then when the egg is all wet, I'll take some of that light blue-gray paint color and start spreading that on here, starting it on the left side. In fact, I plan to have this be more of the shadowed side, so I'll have the most amount of color here. Then I'll spread that color around the edges of the egg, leaving the center of the egg white. I may even add just a touch more color on the shadow side here to emphasize the core shadow area even more. That looks pretty good. I think that this is going to make a great base for these designs. Now, while we wait for that to dry, we might as well paint the background on all of the rest of the eggs. And here we are, the perfect base for these pretty little eggs. Now, once as they are dry, it's time for the fun part, the decorating of the eggs. Now, the best part about these is that you can try any design or any color that you want. I think I will start with a little bit of azo yellow. I'll take the angle brush and using the broad side of the bristles, I'll paint a nice thick strip of color right across the center of the egg. If you want it to be a little bit wider, you can even add another stroke to it. The biggest thing to keep in mind when painting on stripes is to make sure to curve the line a little bit to the form of the egg or the shape of the egg rather than having it move in a straight line. This is just going to feed into that illusion of it being more dimensional. Now notice that because watercolor paints are transparent, you can still see that darker light blue wash that we put on the egg initially showing through the yellow paint that we just applied, which again adds to that dimensional look. Maybe I'll take a touch of quinacridone rose and paint another line of color just below this yellow one. I just love how easy it is to make this perfect brushstroke line using the angle brush. It's like magic, and it makes it so easy, and the masking fluid just makes it so I don't have to worry about when to start or stop the line. I can just paint knowing I have a little bit of a buffer. I think I'll pull out the number 3 round now and paint a smaller, thinner line below that pink one next. Maybe I'll try some alizarin crimson for this. To finish off the bottom area of this egg, I'll take a touch of blue, either phthalo or ultramarine, or a mixture of both, and paint the bottom portion of the egg. While I've got the blue out, I'll take the rigger brush and paint in a nice thin line of blue above the yellow stripe. Let's pull out the number 6 brush now and make a slightly thicker stripe of pink just above the blue one. Then I'll finish off the top of the egg with just some pure alizarin crimson. Now, you can leave the egg just how it is, or you can doll it up even more with some flowers or some polka dots. I think I'll try some nice large blue dots in between the thick yellow and the thick pink stripe, and then maybe some smaller alizarin crimson dots too. I truly hope you're going to have fun with these pretty little Easter eggs. If you're enjoying my painting and teaching style, I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming weekly tutorials. I like to share a variety of painting styles, anywhere from beginner-friendly like this one to ones that are a little bit more intricate and detailed that will push your skill level a little bit. All right, I think that turned out pretty good. And like I say, there are so many options with this, and it really wasn't hard and it didn't take long to do. Let's try out another one. Maybe I'll try some fun flowers on this one this time. Again, any colors are fine to use. I think I might stick to the same colors that I used on the last one so that I can kind of create a matching set. I'll start with the yellow center of the flower first, and because I'm placing this more on the edge of the egg and I want to keep that idea of it being dimensional, I'm going to paint it more of an oval shape. Now I'll take the number 3 round and start painting on the flower petals around the center of the flower, of course having them fade off of the edges. The good news is that these petal shapes are super easy to make. You can just press down and maybe pull out slightly on the brush and it makes a perfect petal. I'll paint another flower just like this, but I'll use the number 6 brush this time to make it slightly larger. I'll also paint the full flower rather than having half of it since it's not going to be overlapping the edge this time. This is a good start. I think I'll try a slightly different flower shape. So using some blue paint and the number 3 round, I'll paint on 5 dots of color in a circle. Then I'll wet and dry my brush off and use the damp brush to spread each dot of color out into the shape of a petal. This just creates another really easy flower that's a little bit different in the look and can fit in some of the smaller spaces. I think I might add in a few yellow dots here just to add to the design next. And to finish off this pretty little flowery egg, I'll paint in a touch of greenery, maybe some thin curled lines with the rigger brush, and maybe a couple of small leaves with the number 3. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind with these eggs is to make sure that some of the color is overlapping the edges of the egg so that when we take off that masking fluid, we will be able to easily see the definition of the egg shape. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's set that aside and let it finish drying and try out another one. This last one is probably the most simple and the easiest of the 3 to do, but it is also really fun and really pretty. With this one, I want to try some splashes of color around the edges of the egg. So I'm actually going to wet the area down with some clean water again. Now that the area is all wet, I'll start placing in a bit of light valued colors in here and there, focusing it mostly around the edges. Again, I'll use some of the same colors as on the other eggs. I'll start with a touch of pink at the bottom and let it spread upward just a little bit. Maybe on the lighter side of the egg, which is on the right, I'll add in a touch of light yellow. And up on the top left, a touch of blue. This is actually kind of fun. Now, I do want to doll it up just a little bit with maybe some little dots, but I do need to let it totally dry before I do that. So I'll pull out my hair dryer to speed up that process just a little bit. Then after it's all dry, I'll take a touch of alizarin crimson and paint in some small dots of color using the number 3 round. The biggest thing to keep in mind with these little dots is to paint them in more of an oval shape nearer to the edges to keep up with that illusion of a round object. I think this just turned out cute and simple, and now that we have them all painted, we can take off the masking fluid and reveal the finished products. Just make sure that they are completely dry before you do this so you don't risk smearing the paint. Now you can just use your finger and rub it off, or you can use a good eraser. And there we have it. Aren't these so fun? They are so pretty and yes, so quick and easy. And because of the shadows and the curvature details we added in, they sort of pop off the page too. I'm so glad you joined me today. I hope you had some fun and maybe even learned something new. If you did enjoy this tutorial, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel so I can continue to help you discover your artistic side.